Hello everybody. So in today's class we'll try to learn something which is related to one of the other basic components that commonly used in any electronic circuit, that is transformer. So till now we have been discussing the basic components like resistor, capacitor, inductor, and in today's session we'll try to learn another new basic component, that is transformer. So as we all know what is meant by inductance and what is meant by mutual inductance, and also we know what is meant by Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, right? So all these points have been discussed in the previous videos. So with the knowledge of these points, we'll be talking about the new component or a device, and that is called as transformer. So this transformer video will cover some of the basic fundamentals related to the transformer, like we'll talk what is meant by transformer and how this transformer is constructed. Next, what is meant by transformer turns ratio and how the transformer action will be discussed in today's video, and the other topics will be discussed in the next coming videos. Okay, so in order to understand the fundamentals of the transformer, we just have to know what is meant by self-inductance, mutual inductance, and electromagnetic Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So with this basic knowledge, we'll try to discuss what is all about transformer. Okay, so first, before going into the subject of transformers, we'll just have two important questions. First one is, first of all, why we use AC voltages and currents in our homes and workplaces? Though we have DC power supply, what we use for all our cell phones, laptops, or remote controllers and all, why can't we use this DC power supply for our all our home appliances or in the workstations, etc.? So what is the reason why we use only AC voltages and currents? The answer is very simple. The main reason why we use AC voltages and currents in our homes and workplaces is that AC supplies can be easily generated at a convenient voltage, and it can be transformed into a much higher voltage and then distributed around the country using some national grids and cables over very long distances. So here 3 points are to be noted. That is, AC supplies can be generated conveniently. Second point is, it can be transformed to higher voltages. And the third one is, it can be distributed easily to longer distances. So these three are the main points which contribute to the major usage of AC supply when we compare with the DC supply. Okay, so because of all these favoring points, we use AC supplies in our homes and workplaces. And the next point is, and what is the need for transforming the voltage? The second point, what I have told you just now, is AC supply can be transformed to much higher voltages, right? So what is the reason for transforming the voltage to much higher level is that higher distribution voltage implies lower current for the same power. I repeat, the reason for transforming to a much higher level is that higher distribution voltage implies lower currents for the same power, and therefore lower I square R losses along the network grid of cables. Okay, we observe lower losses here, and these higher AC transmission voltages and currents can be reduced to a much lower, safer and usable voltage level where it can be used to supply electrical equipment in our homes and workplaces. Okay, and this All this can be done by using a device, and that device we call it as a transformer. As the name suggests, transforming the voltage to a higher level, and in sometimes it can be transformed to a lower level also. So transforming the voltages to our convenient levels can be done using a device called as transformer. So the topic for discussion for today is transformer. So let's discuss some of the basic fundamentals regarding transformer. So first of all, we'll just try to know what is meant by transformer and what does a transformer do. So when we talk about a transformer, instead of calling it as an electronic component, we can call it as electrical component, and it will be apt to be called as an electrical component. So what is the reason and all, you'll get to know by the end of the video. Okay, so a transformer is basically a very simple static I mean stationary. Okay, so is a simple static electromagnetic passive electrical device that works on the principle of Faraday's laws of induction, that is by converting electrical energy from one value to the other. Okay, so simply we can state that a transformer is nothing but a electrical device, and it is a statical device, and it works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. We know what is meant by Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, right? So when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, an EMF will be induced in the coil. Okay, so that is a law which is given by Faraday, and this transformer works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So the transformer does this action by linking together two or more electrical circuits using a common oscillating magnetic circuit which is produced by the transformer itself. A transformer operates on the principle of electromagnetic induction, that too in the form of mutual induction. Okay, so here the point to be noted is it works on the principle of mutual induction. So we know that what is meant by mutual induction, right? A mutual induction is a process by which a coil of wire magnetically induces a voltage into the other coil which is located close to it or nearby it. Okay, so this is also we have discussed, like mutual inductance is nothing but when two coils are near to each other, when we apply a current to one of the coil, because of the current flowing in one coil, and EMF will be induced in the nearby coil. That is nothing but mutual inductance. This is the basic way how a transformer works. Even in the transformer, we see two coils which are wound near to each other, and they both work on the principle of mutual induction. So on the screen you can see one of the most common type of transformer. So this is an overview or outside view of a typical voltage transformer. Here, when we talk about transformer, we have to know about its capabilities, right? So what does a transformer actually do? So the transformer will transform the voltage or current into one level to the other level. Either it may increase or decrease. So transformation of the voltage can be done by a static device, and that is named as transformer. So transformers are capable of either increasing or decreasing the current levels of their supply, and that too without any modifying its frequency. The point to be noted here is that without any change in the frequency, transformers will increase or decrease the voltage or current levels of the supply. Okay, or simply we can say that without the or the amount of electrical power being transformed from one winding to the other winding of the magnetic circuit without any change in the frequency. Okay, is it clear? So transformer is a static device, works on the principle of electromagnetic induction, and it has the capability of increasing or decreasing the voltage level to the uh, of the supply voltage without any modified frequency. The same frequency maintains, but the voltages or current levels will be transformed. So here another point to be noted is that for mutual induction is a process by which the coil of wire magnetically induces the voltage into another located close near it. So transformer get their name from this fact that the transforms one voltage current level to the other. These points we know. The other point to be noted here is that the transformers are capable of either increasing or decreasing the current levels of the supply without any modifying the frequency. This point is to be noted. So without any change in the frequency. And another point regarding transformers is transformers, whether they work on AC or DC, what kind of supply is to be applied to the transformer. So when we talk about this point, transformer requires alternating magnetic flux to operate correctly. Okay, so transformers cannot be used to transform or supply DC voltages or currents. So this is the main point regarding transformer, that is, for a transformer to function there should be an alternating magnetic flux, not the DC kind of power supply or DC kind of voltage or current is not suitable for the operation of the transformer. Since the magnetic field must be changing to induce a voltage in the secondary winding, definitely the supply what we give for a transformer should be an AC kind of supply. In other words, we can simply say that transformer do not operate on steady state voltages, only alternating and pulsating voltages is used for the operation of the transformer. For example, if a transformer, one of the winding that we call it as primary winding, was connected to a DC supply, the inductive reactance of the winding would be 0 as DC as would be 0, because we know that for DC there will be no frequency, right? So the effective impedance of the winding will therefore be very low and equal only to the resistance of the copper used. Thus the winding will draw very high current from the DC supply, causing it to overheat, and because of this overheat what happens is the winding will burn out, because we know that I is equal to V by R. Based upon this statement we can say that because of the increased temperature, if we go on applying the DC supply, the wiring will burn out and there will be no transformer action. So that is why we say that transformers will work only for alternating magnetic flux. So no DC operation or no DC supply should be given for the transformer, as transformer requires an alternating magnetic flux. So these are the points what we have to know regarding a transformer. Okay. Next we'll see what are the basic terms and terminologies, or how a transformer typically look like, we'll discuss now. Okay, so when we talk about transformer we generally talk about a single phase voltage transformer. Okay, so a transformer there is no direct electrical connection. So I'll show you a diagram. So this is how a transformer look like. So here you can see a rectangular thing that is called as core. On the core we have two windings. On left side there is one winding, we call it as primary circuit. On the right side we have another winding which is connected to a bulb, and we call it as a secondary circuit. So this is how a transformer look like. That is, it will have a core. On the core, two different windings will be there, and the mutual induction property will be there in the transformer. Okay. So generally a transformer will have a primary winding. Is, as we can see, a primary winding will be there, and this will be connected to the input side, so input supply voltage, and converts or transform the electrical power into a magnetic field. Whereas the secondary winding is here on the output side, is to convert this alternating magnetic flux or field into the electrical power, producing the required output. Okay, so for a transformer we see two windings. The winding which is connected to the input side, we call it as a primary winding, and the winding which is connected to the output side or the load side, we call it as secondary winding. So when we talk about a single phase voltage transformer, basically it consists of two electrical coils of wire. One is called the primary winding and the second one is called as secondary winding. So in general case, we define the primary side of the transformer as a side that usually takes the power or usually takes the input supply, and the secondary as a side that usually delivers the power, that is output side. In a single phase voltage transformer, the primary is usually the side with the higher voltage. These two coils are not in electrical contact with each other but are instead wrapped together around a closed magnetic iron circuit. So as in the diagram you can see, both the coils, primary coil or the primary winding and the secondary winding, are electrically isolated, but there is a connection between them, and that connection is nothing but the mutual induction connection. That is, because of the mutual induction, both are said to be magnetically coupled. Okay, so for that thing, what we do is we usually wound these two coils on a iron circuit, and that is called as core. So this is nothing but the core, the square shape, the rectangle shape one on which the windings are wound is called as core. So this soft iron core is not solid, but it is made up of individual laminations connected together in order to reduce the core losses. Okay, so that is, many laminated sheets of same size are joined together to form the core. Why we use this kind of connection, this type of core instead of single solid core, is that in order to reduce the core losses, we usually take laminated sheets as core material. The two coil windings are electrically isolated from each other but are magnetically linked through a common core, allowing electrical power to be transferred from one coil to the other. When the electrical current passes through the primary winding, what happens is a magnetic field is developed which induces a voltage into the secondary winding. Once again I repeat, when an electrical current is passed through the primary winding, a magnetic field is developed which induces a voltage into the secondary winding. So this is the action of the transformer. Okay, so because of these voltages, the load will be driven. Okay, so here I am applying a current, and because of this current, an EMF will be induced in the secondary, that is secondary winding, and because of the voltage that is induced in the secondary winding, an proportionate amount of voltage or current will be observed at the load. Okay, so coming to the construction of transformer, as I was just telling you that the transformer core is made up of some laminated sheets, right? So here you can see it clearly. that the core is made up of some laminations. Transformer core. In generally it will be made up of some soft iron material. All of equal shaped laminations will be there, and all of them will be pressed together to form a single core. On to the left side of it, you see a winding here. This winding is called as primary winding or primary coil, and the voltage developed across here will be called as VP, primary voltage, and the number of turns for the primary will be called as NP. NP is nothing but the number of primary windings. Whereas when we see here on the right side of the core, we see another winding here, and a voltage will be developed on the secondary side, and the secondary winding, that we call it as secondary coil, and that voltage is nothing but the secondary voltage. And the number of turns in the secondary side we indicate with the letter NS. So NS is nothing but number of secondary windings, and there will be a flux induced which is indicated by pi. So when we apply a current onto the primary winding, because of the current that is flowing in the primary winding, an EMF will be developed in the secondary winding. Why this EMF will be developed is because of the flux that is linking from the primary to secondary. So that flux linkage will be indicated by letter pi. And coming to the symbol, you can see here the symbol of the transformer. So in general, the commonly used symbol is this. When you are asked to draw the symbol of the transformer, you can simply use this. That is two inductors. In between the two inductors, we see two lines. So these lines indicate the core. Okay. So in generally, if the core lines, the lines what we use to represent the core, if it is a straight line, both are straight lines, then we call the transformer as iron core. Instead of iron, we can also use ferrite core. Then we use dotted lines here instead of straight lines. So when we use dotted lines, then we call it as ferrite core transformer, and when we use straight lines, we call it as iron core transformer. On the left side we see a primary winding, on the right side we see a secondary winding. So this is one kind of representation, whereas another kind of representation is this one. We'll have two terminals and two circles overlapping each other. The upper side is called as primary winding and the lower side is called as secondary winding. Okay, so this is how we represent transformers with the help of symbols. Okay, and here another point to be noticed is the two coils windings are not electrically connected but are only linked magnetically. Okay, you can see this clearly on the diagram. Okay, so a single phase transformer can operate to either increase or decrease the voltage to the primary winding. When a transformer, coming to the types of transformer, here I have mentioned three different types of transformers. So we'll see what is this. The first one is step up transformer, second one is step down transformer, other one is impedance transformer. Let's see what these three types of transformers are. Okay, so when a transformer is used to increase the voltage on the secondary winding with respect to the primary, then we call it as a step up transformer, stepping up. Okay, so as the name suggests, if the applied voltage on the primary side is less than, or if the applied voltage on the if the obtained voltage on the secondary side is more than the applied voltage on the primary side, we call that kind of transformer as step up transformer. So from the name itself we can conclude that it will increase the voltage on its secondary winding. The opposite happens for the step down transformer. So when it is used to decrease the voltage on the secondary winding with respect to the primary, it is called as step down transformer. Okay, step up and step down. And the other type of transformer we see, that is in which the transformer produces the same voltage on its secondary as it is applied to its primary winding. That is, the same amount of voltage is there for the primary as well as the secondary. In other words, we can say that its output is identical with respect to the voltage, current and power transfer. So this type of transformer is called as impedance transformer, and the major use of impedance transformer is we see for impedance matching or for isolation of adjoining electrical circuits. Okay, so these are the three basic types of transformers that are commonly used in any electrical circuits. There are other transformers available, so those things we'll discuss in the next coming videos. But as of now, based upon the voltage levels that are being used for the primary and the secondary windings, we can classify the transformers into these three basic types, that is step up, step down and impedance transformer. So when we talk about step up, step down and impedance transformers, we'll get to know, or we'll be doubting how the voltage will be varying based upon the number of turns, right? So now we'll try to learn what is meant by transformers turns ratio. Then we'll get to know how the voltage will be either stepping up or stepping down. Okay, so we'll now discuss what is about transformer turns ratio. So the difference in the voltage between the primary and the secondary winding is achieved by changing the number of coil turns in the primary winding, that is NP, compared to the number of coils on the secondary winding, NS. Okay, so by changing the number of coils in the primary and the secondary windings, we can either step up the voltage or step down the voltage. Okay, as a transformer is basically a linear device, the ratio now exists between the number of turns of the primary coil divided by the number of turns of the secondary coil. Okay, so the turns ratio is nothing but the ratio between the number of turns on the primary coil divided by number of turns on the secondary coil. This ratio of coil is called ratio of transformation, and it is more generally called as turns ratio, TR. Okay, turns ratio, the ratio between the number of turns on the primary coil divided by the number of turns on the secondary coil. This turns ratio dictates the operation of the transformer and the corresponding voltage available on the secondary winding. So it is now necessary to know the ratio of number of turns on the wire on the primary winding compared to the secondary winding. Okay, so when we get to know the ratios of both the primary and the secondary windings, we'll get to know what kind of transforming action will be done. The turns ratio will have no units. Okay, so other point to be noted here is that there will be no units for turns ratio, and compares just the two windings in order and is written with a semicolon, such as 3:1. This means that if it is written as 3:1, that is there are 3 volts on the primary winding and there will be 1 volt on the secondary winding, that is 3 volts to 1 volt. Then we can see that if the ratio between the number of turns changes, the resulting voltage must also change by the same ratio, and this is true. Okay, so transformers is all about ratios only. Okay, so the ratio of the primary to the secondary, the ratio of the input to the output, and the turns ratio of any given transformer will be same as its the voltage ratio. In other words, for a transformer, turns ratio is simply a voltage ratio. Okay, the number of turns or the turns ratio will gives us the voltage ratio. The actual number of turns of wire on any winding is generally not important. just the turns ratio, and this relationship can be given as NP by NS will be equal to VP by VS. As we know, what is NP? Number of turns on the primary winding. NS, number of turns on the secondary winding. VP is nothing but the voltage on the primary winding. VS is nothing but the voltage on the secondary winding, and it is indicated by letter small m, and we call this expression as the turns ratio. So if we assume for an ideal transformer, the phase angles for that is pi p is equal to pi s. So that is the flux is equal. If we consider, then we can write this expression. So here another point to be noted is that the order of the numbers when expressing a transformer's turns ratio value is very important, as the turns ratio 3:1 expresses a very different transformer relationship and the output voltage than one in which the turns ratio is given as 1:3. So there will be a very huge change and difference if we represent it as 3:1 or 1:3. So there will be a lot of change. If we write it as 3:1, the output is 1 volt, input is 3 volts. If we write it as 1:3, input is 1 volt and output is 3 volts. So when we represent or when we write the turns ratio, appropriate representation and accurate representation should be done. Otherwise, the total transformer action will be upside down. As I have just now talked about the action, let's see how this transformer will work. What is the transformer action? We'll discuss. Okay. So when we see a transformer, we see a laminated iron core which is some rectangular in shape, and on one side of the core we see one winding and we call it as primary winding, and on the other side of the core we see another winding and we call it as secondary winding, right? This is what we have been discussing till now. So when you see the number of coil turns on the secondary winding compared to the primary winding, the turns ratio affects the amount of voltage available from the secondary coil. But if the two windings are electrically isolated to each other, how is this secondary voltage produced? This is the question. So we say that both the windings are electrically isolated, but how is it possible to produce secondary voltage? Okay, the answer is very simple, that a transformer basically consists of two coils wound around a common soft iron core. When an alternating voltage Vp is applied to the primary coil, current flows through the coil, which in turn sets up a magnetic field around it, and what we call this is nothing but mutual inductance, by which a current will be flowing to the law. We call it as Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, right? So the strength of the magnetic field builds up as the current flow rises from 0 to the maximum value, and which gives as d pi by dt. As the magnetic lines of force set up by this electromagnet expands outward from the coil, the soft iron core forms a path for and concentrates for the magnetic field. This magnetic flux links the turns of both the winding as it increases and decreases in opposite direction when the influence of an AC supply. So as we have discussed previously, that transformers should be applied with AC supply. So as AC is alternating, so the magnetic flux also will be moving inward and outwards, so that it induces an EMF in the secondary winding. The magnetic lines of flux flows around the core. They pass through the turns of the secondary winding, causing a voltage to be induced into the secondary coil. The amount of voltage will be determined by a formula which we know, that is N d pi by dt, which is, we simply call it as Faraday's laws. Okay, so the amount of voltage induced is given by the formula N d pi by dt. Here N is nothing but coil turns. Also, this induced voltage will have the same frequency as a primary winding voltage. So this should be followed. So even while defining the transformer, we have defined it as transformer is a static device which can transfer energy from one circuit to the other circuit without any change in the frequency, right? So here the frequency should be constant even when the transfer of energy from primary winding to secondary winding is being done. So now we can see that the same voltage is induced in each of the coil turns of both the windings because of the same magnetic flux links the turns of both the windings together. As a result, the total induced voltage in each winding is directly proportional to the number of turns in the winding. However, the peak amplitude of the output voltage available in the secondary winding will be reduced if the magnetic losses of the core are high. So what we do is, so assuming we have a transformer, if you want to apply a primary coil to produce a stronger magnetic field to overcome the core magnetic losses, we can either send a larger current through the coil or keep the same current flowing and instead increase the number of coil turns of the winding, that is primary coil turns. The product of the ampere turns is called as ampere turns, which determines the magnetizing force of the coil. Okay, so assuming we have a transformer with a single turn in the primary and only one turn in the secondary. If 1 volt is applied to one turn of the primary and assuming that there are no losses, enough current must flow and enough magnetic flux generated to induce 1 volt in the single turn of the secondary. That is, each winding supports the same amounts of volts per turn. Okay, so as a magnetic flux varies sinusoidally, pi is equal to pi max sin omega t. Then the basic relationship between the EMF in the coil windings n turns is given by this expression. Okay, EMF is equal to turns into the rate of change. So EMF E can be written as E is equal to N into d pi by dt, where d pi can be written as omega into pi max cos omega t. This can be simplified as N omega pi max is equal to E max. If you want to calculate in terms of RMS, E RMS can be written as N omega by root 2 into pi max, that is equal to 2 pi by root 2 f into n into pi max. So omega can be written as 2 pi f, right? So I have expanded n omega as, here omega is written as 2 pi f. So finally we can write ERMS is equal to 4.44 Fn pi max, where f is nothing but the frequency in hertz, that can be simply written as omega by t pi, where here n is nothing but the number of coil windings and pi is nothing but the flux, magnetic flux, and that is indicated in Webers. So this expression is nothing but the transformer EMF expression. This expression that is nothing but ERMS. ERMS is equal to 4.44 Fn pi max is nothing but the transformer EMF equation. So when sometimes you will be asked to calculate the value of transformer equation or derive EMF expression for transformer, then you can write this expression as an answer. Okay, so the primary winding EMF, N will be the number of primary turns, NP, and for the secondary winding EMF, N here we can take it as for as NS. Okay, so that is for ERMS, that is EMF expression can be written for both primary winding as well as secondary winding. If you want to calculate for primary winding, the N here you take it as primary winding turns. If you want to calculate it for secondary winding EMF, if you want to calculate, simply take the number of turns of the secondary here in this expression and you can calculate the value of ERMS for the secondary winding. Okay, so this is all about transformer action, what is meant by transformer turns ratio, transformer construction, and also what is the EMF expression for the transformer. Okay, so and we have also seen how we represent a transformer with a simple symbol. The symbol of the transformer has also been discussed in this video, and in the next coming videos we'll try to discuss the constructional details and also the power and what is meant by transformer efficiency and all will be discussed in the next coming videos. So I hope you got the basic fundamental idea regarding transformer, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.